Hey guys, I am back again. I am scared to touch my tripod, thus I'm like kneeling on the ground and talking to you. I think we're situated. What I really wanted to show today is how to add depth with additional color, a little more saturation, and also how to go ahead and put in a background with very little color. I had to put that in this morning, the green on the back. His wings are transparent, so I went ahead and did a wash over most of it except his body and the flowers. So now I'm going to go ahead and start going in with shadow, a little highlight. I want to add a little more dimension to the flowers. There's a lot of like kind of a raspberry color in there and some purples. So I'm going to go ahead and start playing around. And if you have any questions, I love chit-chatting, or if you can just tell me what you're up to. I think Thea was on here earlier. I hope she's joining again. So we're going to get started. All right, so what I'm working on over here is putting in the detail in his other wing. Dragonfly wings are really, really fun. So as I was saying earlier, the video that I had to delete, my tripod kept flipping all over the place, and something I had mentioned earlier was that dragonflies represent change and evolution, especially in regards to just personal growth. And I think all of us can relate to that, can relate kind of to how your goals change, and you know, what you want out of life changes, what you're looking for in friendships. So I thought that was kind of cool. So the little areas in the wings over here, you can tell the lines are a lot closer together. And then as it spreads out towards the middle of the wing, they're a little bit farther apart. I don't know if you guys can hear, but I have a play date happening in the basement. There's always some excitement going on here. Thea, are you back on again? Keeping me company, I hope. So it looks like we're curving this way. And now I'm using just a very, very fine tip brush for this. I don't know, are you going to focus, camera? There we go. I tried buying some new brushes at Michael's a few days ago. I thought, well, you're painting so much and your kids are using your stuff, you should legitimize yourself. Get real watercolor brushes, you know? Because I just have been using whatever I had around, kind of just a package thing. I absolutely hated them. They were awful. I kept losing like little hairs all over my page, and so I'm taking those back. I'm kind of back to my all-purpose brushes. I don't even know what they are, but they're flat and they're beautiful and they don't shed. So yeah, so much for legitimizing. Some of the lines in here curve around. So if you are attempting to delve into watercolors and you haven't done it before, I highly suggest that you work off of a photograph if possible. It's just really, it keeps things a little bit more simple as far as just figuring out the dimensions of things. It gives you something to go off. I almost always go off of a photograph of some sort. I know I probably have some acrylic painters out there, and I love what people do with acrylics. I told my friend Christine that she needs to teach me acrylics. I like to be a little free-spirited, so usually when I try to do acrylics with my watercolor techniques, it ends up being kind of crazy. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and take a break from that because I wanted to show you how I'm putting a little bit of the detail into the wings. But now I'm gonna go ahead and start in with some shadows on his body. So there are browns, golds, yellows, a lot of yellow. So I'm gonna take a little bit of a darker gold, and I'm going to put a little brown in, and I'm going to tap in some of those darker golden brown colors. So there's some up in here and up in this area. So this is my second pass with the yellows, or third, I don't remember. But as each one dries, you're going to lose a little bit of your color. It dries a little bit lighter. So I always go in there and tap in more color as it dries. So there's a little highlighted portion here at the top of his head. And this is something that I've stressed in some of my other videos. I recently did a tutorial for magnolias. It's not on my website, it's on a different group. But you do have to plan in watercolor for your white space because it's really hard to get that white back. So he's got a little bit of a shadow here on the front of his nose. And coming around the side. Something cool here on the side of his face. And I like to, hey Lisa! Thanks for watching. Something that I like to do is study the undertones of each part of a picture. Sometimes it's surprising when you really look at a picture, you'll see that it's not just yellow dragonfly. There is some green on him, you know, on his cheeks. It's very cute. So I found that sticking to exactly what I see on a photograph gives me the most realistic painting. And sometimes it takes a little while for you to see those little details because there's just so much to see in each photograph. So he's got a little bit of green up here. It's almost a lime green. I look around on his body. I don't see a lot of other greens. There's a little bit over here in the side of his body. I'm going to pop that in. And while I have the green on my brush, I'm going to go ahead and put in some green underneath the stem area and mixing it with black. It's a pretty dark area down here, so I'm bringing it up on the flower as part of the stem and then pulling it down. And so with watercolor, if you have a lot of water on your brush, you can press down and drag, and it kind of gives you more of that whimsical watercolor look that you would be going for. So over here I'm going to do it again. You press down and you kind of drag it down. Alright. I'm going to pop in a little bit more green back here. And in this area over here. And kind of let it drift outwards. You can get a little texture by putting that color down and then grabbing some of it back up. All right. All right, we're going to go back into the flower here. There's a little bit of a kind of a raspberry color, so we're mixing a little bit of red into our purple, which I already had on the plate, but just mix in a little blue as well. Okay. I'm going to just tap in darker tones. I'm putting in a little bit of black to bring it down so it looks like raspberry in a shadow. So we're going to press and draw it down. Okay, So on my picture, the flower on the right has a little bit, I'm going to pull some of that color up. The shadow basically starts about 1/3 of the way down. So this part up here is in the sunlight. So I'm not going to put a lot of shadow past that 1/3 mark. I'm going to focus the color down below. So down here, there's a lot of shadow. There's no light that hits down there. So I'm pressing in kind of a black with just a dash of blue down at the bottom. And I'm going to pull some of those shadows back into the branch. So the stem area here is still wet. So as I pull the black in there, it spreads, which is exactly what I want to do. I want to hit that when it's still wet. Hey Tonda Knight, how are you? Thank you for being on here and watching. Are you a painter? I want to hear about what kind of stuff you like to tackle. I'm going to pull my shadows in on this side too. And I'm just popping in just a little bit of blue into my shadows. Kind of gives like a cool tone to that area. So I'm just pressing and dropping down. And then I'm going to pull some of that shadow up. So this one also has light hitting at the top. So I'm not going to go up too far. We want to leave some of those white values in there at the top. So Tonda, do you have any projects going on right now? I like to hear about what my viewers are doing. Sometimes it inspires me to tackle something new. Okay, so now, good to meet you too. You know what? I think if it's been many years since you tackled those canvases in the watercolor, you need to bring it back out. It is time. It's so fun. You'll start and you'll get addicted in the best way. I'd love to see you work on some and then post your pictures. So for this flower over here, it's a cool mixture of blues and purples. So I'm going to go ahead and mix up, oh, a dresser? Do you use clay-based paint or chalk paint? I wasn't sure if you worked, if you did any of Anissa's tutorials or anything like that, but. Oh, thank you. Well, you know what? I hope I get you infected and you get those canvases back out. It's just so much fun. I did not paint for many years because I was just busy with life and kids and this and that, and I'm so glad that I've started again. So I think we need to bring a little bit of darker red back in this one over here, just over on the sides. And then especially this middle one has a lot of raspberry, so I'm going to bring some more back in there. Clay-based, yeah. So I'm just curious, did you order it online or did you go to Lewisburg? I need to get some. I have, embarrassingly enough, I have 3 dressers upstairs that I got greedy for on Marketplace, and I grabbed them up and I've done nothing with them. It's embarrassing, but I don't know. You'll have to let me know where you got yours, if you ordered it or if you just went and picked it up. All right, we're gonna leave those alone for now. And I'm gonna go ahead and start going back in to add a really dark, the dark details. I'm trying to get this so it doesn't glare. That's kind of hard. Well, okay, there we go. Now you can see. So there's a lot of really dark brown, so I'm going to mix the black in with my brown and start putting in that detail around his face and along his tail. Guess you can call it a tail, right? Isn't that what it is? Body? I don't know. You ordered it online. Ooh, how fun! You're in Kentucky? Okay, my impression of Kentucky is that it was stunning. I've only been there once, but I distinctly remember like the color of the trees and everything. It was gorgeous. It was gorgeous. I know, seriously. Marketplace is a bad place for crafters and artists and stuff. It's just too much temptation. Yeah, you have a beautiful state. That has been my lasting impression. It's just that deep, dark, almost bluish green in the trees is stunning. All right, so I've mixed up a really, really dark brown. I'm putting in some black, and I'm putting in just a dash of blue because I can, and I like that. Kind of grays it down a little bit. All right, so now we're going to start adding in. He's got this cute little punchy detail on his face, like a little kind of circle. So but first I'm gonna go ahead and tap in some of the shadows on his leg, right up here, and pull it down. And now I have to double back into his body and go ahead and put in those details along his body as well. So right here. Now these kind of have an interesting shape too. When you're painting, pay attention to the actual shape of the line, not what you think it should be, you know? Usually when there's details on these guys, they're never really symmetrical. So the more closely you follow what's actually there on the photograph, the better your picture will be. So I'm gonna go ahead and water it down just a little bit because I'm gonna be putting in some shadows on the yellow. So I'm gonna pull the shadow up from the bottom. It is. It's beautiful. Do you have a lot of flowers in the spring? Because when I did go to Kentucky, it was, I believe, summer. I don't remember getting to be there during spring, but might have to go back and show my voice. So I'm just popping in some details around his wing here. So remember, when you're doing shadows, it's simple. You just start down low and drag it upwards. And as you drag it, you'll lose some of your pigment and it'll kind of fade in. I'm going to do the same here along the length of his body. I'm going to go ahead and start it really dark underneath and pull it up. So sometimes when you start popping in shadows, it looks really, 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 really dark, too dark almost. A lot of times you can just let it sit. It usually lightens as it dries. And then you can always go ahead and fade it out later. So now I'm going to put in some details around his nose and his mouth area. He's got some dark outlining the area by his mouth. So I had some fun on the weekend. I didn't have a whole lot of time for projects, but I did do a little bit of work on a jellyfish. I wanted to challenge myself, and challenge it was. I don't know if anybody watching has attempted a jellyfish, if you're a painter, but I don't know. What I found trickiest about it was that because of the nature of the watercolor, you really had to plan for the white space, and because he has so many of those clear white tentacles, basically most of the painting was just painting in background. So that was really interesting. So he's got these hairy little legs. It's kind of cute. Only dragonflies can get away with that. All right, so on his legs he's got some yellow. I haven't put that in yet, so I'm gonna go ahead and tap that in, and it looks like most of the yellow is kind of the area that the sun would be shining on anyway, kind of up here on the top, and then it's a little bit down this way. A little bit in here as well. Okay. Now as I'm looking at the picture, I mean, this is just an example of what you notice the longer you look at a picture. So I thought his wings were just, dragonfly wings are actually not as bad as you would think. It takes a little more patience. I feel like I like to actually see you guys sometimes. Hi. Yeah, I wish I could figure out a way to have the camera and my face at the same time, but you can't really see the picture that way. It just takes more patience than I'm used to putting into pictures. I'm kind of impulsive when it comes to painting, but it's fine. It's fun. It's different. So there is some cool like yellow up here in his wing. I noticed there's a little bit of yellow and a little bit of pink, and I don't know if it's a reflection, but it's pretty. So I'm just tapping that in here. Now, Tanda, can you see my picture? Will you let me know if I need to adjust my paper at all? I'm trying to see if I need to pull it this way. All right. So I'm just tapping that highlight into a little bit of his wings here. And then I'll go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and start in on the other side now that I've had a little break from lines. So I'm mixing in my light gray again. Really watery so it moves easily. So on this side, those little ridges are really close together. So we'll start there. Oh, good. Glad. Thank you. Tanda, are you in Anissa's group as well? Her private group? I wasn't sure if you were on there and you had seen my magnolia tutorial or not. That was a lot of fun. So I want to challenge you guys this week. If you take on a painting project just for fun, even if it's not your regular thing, choose a picture that you think is beautiful, number one, but that also challenges you, that you think, man, that would be really hard. Because it is amazing what you can do if you really like a picture. I've taken on some really tough ones, but it's been fun for me because it was a subject that I really liked. I think I'm gonna do some horses next. It's been a long time since I've done a new horse. I don't even know if I could call horses a challenge. They're so fun. Oh, awesome. Well, I am excited to have you watching. We did a little project together. You may have seen the Magnolia Buffet. So she was kind enough to kind of, you know, share that on our page. So I'm glad to have some people following along. I don't know if you can tell on this side, these lines over here were a lot darker before they dried. So it's actually really working out. I want the lines to be really faint. So the light gray dries really, really light. It's perfect. Hi, hey Beth. Thank you. Thanks for watching. How's that squishy baby doing? I just want to brag on my sister Beth for a minute. She just had her third daughter. Her first two babies were C-sections, and this time she was absolutely bound and determined that she was going to have a natural water birth, and she did it. I'm still absolutely blown away. She gave birth at home. She had the water birth she wanted, and she worked really, really, really hard for it. Very proud of her. All right, so there's a little area here where both of the wings are crossing over. So there's just more lines happening in that area. So I'm going to kind of double up on my lines here where the two wings are touching, or overlapping, I should say. I don't know what you typed. I gotta scroll back up and see. Hey Linda, how are you doing? I did not type that comment. Which one? Beth, I think you were looking at somebody else's. Tonda said congratulations because I'm bragging on you. Oh, are there two Beth Anns? Oh, okay. That's funny. That is so confusing. Oh my gosh. Beth, you have a doppelganger. Hello, other Beth Ann. Way to make me trip. Linda, thanks for joining. I'm glad to see you on there too. I've decided that all these stay-at-home mom crafters secretly go live just so that they can chat with people. I think that's my ulterior motive in life. To do art and to chit-chat. Better you guys than my husband. Our marriage will last longer if he doesn't have to listen to that all the time. Okay. Wow, two Beth Anns. Who would have known? Oh my gosh, I'm down to 10% battery. Fun times. Well, Beth Ann, meet Beth Ann. That's always a good time. All right, guys. I got most of my detail on that wing. So I'm going to come in with, it's pretty much dry already, so I'm going to come in with a little bit of yellow highlights on there. There's just a little tiny bit up in here. And then up at the top. This is driving me crazy, this plain background without any splatters. I need to like screw it up. I need to put some splatters on it. It's driving me nuts. You know, pull a Bob Ross. You know how you'd have those gorgeous sunrises and sunsets, and it was just breathtaking. And then he'd scrawl this enormous black tree over the front of the sunset. And we'd all be like, no, Bob Ross, don't do that. You can't. All right, there's a little pink on this side too. I'm gonna go ahead and put that in. That's so pretty. All right. Yeah, what the heck? Let's put in some splatters. It'll be fun. I don't know what kind of splatters I want yet, but there we go. Now I feel so much better. That was bothering the hell out of me. It's too freaking perfect. All right. Now, I really do feel so much better now. There's just not enough going on up here. I'm sure there's trees or something back there. Tonda, that means that you have 3 full months to finally be selfish. To work on stuff that your darling school children don't let you work on the rest of the year. You need to enjoy it. What grade do you teach? splatters. I know. I cannot help myself. It's so much fun. Like, you probably won't ever see a picture without splatters. Unless Anissa is doing another furniture piece with me and she forbids it, then I'll have to hold back. Alright, he's got some cute little, like, pinkish eyes going on here, so I'm going to come back in with a little more color and add just a little more detail. I'm going to fade it up because they kind of get lighter up at the top. Okay. Seven weeks, yes. High school math. Okay, so you get to, I'm sure the vast majority of those kids are quite surly, as most high schoolers are. You deserve vodka and a 7-week break. Okay, I'm just coming back in here with a little more dark. And so what I'm doing now is, since I added in my shadows, I lost a little bit of my detail down in the flower. So I'm going to go ahead and come back in. I have a black and blue, like a bruise. So I'm going to just start tapping in some of my detail again. So don't be scared if you're doing your picture and you lose some of your detail. You just come back in later when it dries and you can get it back. Tonda, are you laughing at the vodka part? Because you know you're thinking about it. All right. Okay, so I'm imagining where are the shadows on my flowers here while I have this black and blue on my brush. And so I'm tapping it underneath, making sure some of those textures kind of come out into the background so you can see the spikes on the flower. And I feel like there's shadows on this side over here as well. So I'm just going to tap some down here into the branch. And what else do I want to mar? I want up here. Got some more around the nose. There's this cute little, like, round dot on the side of his cheek. We're going to put that in too. And I'm just punching in just a little more shadows under his body and drawing it upwards. I think 75% of watercolor is just adding in shadows. No, thank you. I'm actually really excited that you're watching because I feel like you're going to get infected and you're going to go and paint and you will never look back. It's just so much fun. If you did it before, it'll be like riding a bike. So I'm kind of popping in a few of the details up here. There's some texture and some shapes going on that part of his body. So I'm using the side of the brush to angle in those details. There's some coming up this way, then down and around, and then coming up the side again. My phone is probably going to conk out any minute because I never charge it. So the battery has been giving me warnings, 20%, 10%. So thank you, thank you. Let me see, can I risk the tripod moving? Yes, there it is. My kids, can you hear them? Oh yes, I'm sure they're having a blast. They always have a blast. But I'm going to tap out now. Thank you for watching. And Tonda, thanks for chit-chatting with me. I enjoyed your company. I'm going to try to plug in my phone. And then if you have any questions that come up later, just shoot me a message. You know, if you have have questions about products or what paper to use or what brushes to get, I would love to hear from you guys. Join me again soon. All right, bye.